I am Ann-Peggy Divine. Welcome to the Divine Design, the podcast where we unfold heaven on earth and reframe spirituality and theology for a new cosmic era. Your journey on human evolution and integration of your divine design starts here. Welcome, Colin Whitby, back to Divine Design Podcast.
Yeah, thank you. It's good to be here.
And we said that, let's see what come true, because we don't have a title yet, but we just open kind of a portal or a divine flow, and we go with the flow.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, we both kind of know something wants to happen through us.
Yeah.
And it's uniquely our whatever we bring together, which needs to be expressed in some way. And as soon as we start talking, that the vibration of that is with us. So we know there's something going on, which is an interesting way this all works. So yeah, I mean, let's see what wants to come through. I think earlier on we were just talking about Christ consciousness and how that has being talked about a lot in the internet conversations, particularly the ones I've been seeing. A lot of people are talking about, and it feels like that's what we are embodying, the flow that comes from being that, like we've described. Yeshua, Jesus was describing, you can be this. We're all this, and that was the key message, really. And certainly, when I open up to that presence, it feels like that's who I am.
Yeah.
It's so personal. It's so. This is who we are. You almost feel like that. Well, I do anyway. I almost feel like that's who I am. And we're part of that flow of consciousness, of love, of divine that comes in. And we were talking about how because we don't quite know what's going to come in, but if we tune in to that, as if we're on a radio, on a dial, and we don't know what the program is, because that's the whole point. That's the whole giving it away thing, isn't it? I just say, yes, I'll be this for this moment.
Yes.
And something will occur. And I know it's for the very good of everyone, and the whole planet and the whole universe, etc. So I've just said yes to, well, we both said yes to that. So and here we are, still not knowing quite what that might turn out to be.
But you said that you have heard that the people have discussed this on social media. I haven't gone into it, but I have experienced in my own body. So for the last couple of weeks, the Christ consciousness has been so much with me. And being in Lingen, it is kind of easy. And one of the things that brought Christ consciousness, first of all, when I talk about Christ consciousness, it is an inner state, like the gnosis, the wisdom, that the direct experience to truth. So me talking about Christ consciousness is referring to my inner knowledge, my inner truth, my inner state. And a couple of weeks ago, my karma horoscope suddenly just appeared in my face, and I did it 9.5 years ago. I got my karma horoscope. I had never heard about karma horoscope when I got it. And karma horoscope, it is about past life and what you have chosen, and when I got my karma horoscope, I had gone through a lot of earlier life, so I knew what I have done and my path. And then I got my karma horoscope, and it was saying black on white what I had lived. And it's like, is this possible? So I was amazed. And it came up again a couple of weeks ago. And also, it says that I have lived with Christ consciousness. And I know, because this is the Maya life I lived, because this is one of the life I go most into. And I know why I kind of lost it, because it was the white man that forced the tribe I was in. And this life it says you have chosen also to go towards Christ consciousness. And do you negotiate with Christ consciousness in this life? Because if you see the history of the Maya, it is not so pretty. They had so much knowledge, we had so much gnosis, and the white man, I call it the white man or the Spanish or whatever, who came and conquer and said you have to do the Western way. And they use so much violence. They use so much very ugly thing. And when you living from the Christ consciousness and you meet this ugliness, this violence, it is kind of how can you meet this? It's something. It's like, because I went into it's like, it is so cruel, some of the things that we have done with the Western culture. It's like, yeah, we kind of surrender and because yeah, in this life it's like we surrender and go past to another life, kind of, because what do you do with all this violence? And it feels for me like this violence, we are seeing it now again. It's like it's the same violence we see, and they try to manipulate it. So it is kind of the Christ consciousness wants to be born in us. All of us are invited, but there are so much violence, so much war. So it's the tension. It is, yeah, it's the polarity very against each other.
Yeah. And there's something that's been coming up in conversations recently, that there's been how we are holding this consciousness takes us away from those polarities of like good, bad, and all that. Because I think we spoke about this on one of the previous podcasts, and by bringing by being this being aware and saying yes to this consciousness, to being, I'd say being Christ, because that takes it to the personal, and we're almost being asked not to have an identity in this,
Yes.
have a name, not to give it a title, not to, so all of the grand titles we give our, disembodied beings like archangels and Elohim, and we
Yeah.
give them all names and they give them hierarchies, and they may well have them, I don't know. But at the end of the day, that's not what we're here to be. We're just here to be the portal through which this divine flow occurs. And then all those things you described that we've done in the past. I mean, we'll have both had lives on both sides of that coin, won't we?
Yeah.
We've
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
been the victim and the victim, I can't remember the opposite word. Anyway, but both parts of that we've been. So, but I think what the sense I'm getting, and certainly the places that we touch together, where this is where Jesus was pulling his consciousness from,
Yes.
and he was just an embodiment of what this is.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
can you feel that? That now
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
changed, didn't it? And so it's that strand of brilliance, of astonishing clarity that we're touching into, that then flows through us into our reality and starts creating in a different way. And I think the what that seems to be doing is creating cracks in the reality. So now people are being able to see more clearly how they've been manipulated, or how the story, the narrative has been controlled. Even just ordinary things. Sometimes you think, oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize quite how deeply the manipulation has been going. And yeah, so it's interesting how the stories that are hitting our news, and all the stuff is here to do, it's almost like try and knock us off balance,
Yep. Yep.
and take our vibration down into it. And it seems to me that our role at the moment isn't to ignore it, but not to go into it, and continue our opening to this in this way. And it's something about touching that now in this moment. There's something about that that we might explore further. Because I can you feel that? There's something really almost like knocking on our door to be known.
Yeah, and when you talk, the word that's come to me is this kenosis. It's like emptying ourselves. So what we are doing, we are emptying ourselves, not being archangel as you say or any names, but we are emptying ourselves and let the divine flow come true. And what comes then? It's nothing pre-thinked or pre-organized or so it's just being in the here and now and letting it flow through us. And we can use all the triggers as you say to okay, when we have triggers, what is it in us? Because this also, the Christ consciousness has been very big in me, but also new triggers, or I don't want to, yeah, I will put call it triggers. It is triggers from my body. It's triggered from my pelvic area, because I have gone into my pelvic area having back injuries from my father and my great grandfather, all my ancestors in so many lines. And then so I have gone into my pelvic area that has been my weakest point in my body, and see all the sorrow it's hold and all the lack and all the shame that has been transferred in generations. So for me, and I have spoken to a lot of people this summer, and the theme that has come up for us is violence and sexual abuse.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like we have to shed that. We have to kind of, okay, this wants to be seen, it wants to be acknowledged, so that we can hold the balance point. Because so many people, too many people, live with this violence pattern, and it wants to come up so that we can release it and then hold the Christ consciousness. So it is kind of the path to it. So for me also, when I felt wow, even though my father had this and my great grandfather and a lot of men, it was like, okay, it has it been passed in men? Yes, because if a woman have lived with this sexual abuse or sexual assaultment, the man in the family also carried it. We carry for each other. So it is not a male or female problem. It is that we have been in such a violent history. It's so like the wars, and what have it done? We have used rape as a victim. We have raped a lot of women, and in that we have destroyed culture, we have destroyed family, we have destroyed so much, and now we feel it in our body. So our body triggers us. The body symptoms tells us, oh, where can I balance out so that I can live with Christ consciousness?
Mm, mm.
So it's deep. It's deep.
Does, yeah. I think that's and what we've been finding a lot of is that we're we may think we've done the work, like sometimes I think, well, at least that's over with. I can, now we can get onto some real sort of energy work. Let's do this. And then suddenly, oh, you're up against it. And it's almost like you're peeling it away each time you get to a new level of awareness of this, of being the flow. It's dislodging something again in your, in your field. So like you've just described, the traumas, not even those that come with you, they're in your genes from way back,
Yeah.
or even other lives in other
Yes.
places.
Yes.
So you're not. It's the whole thing, and that's the sense I've been getting when we've been tuning in. Is the idea now, particularly now in this, we're sandwiched as we talk in between two eclipses, and the equinox is coming up. In fact, you might even be loading this up just before the equinox. I don't know how quickly
Yeah,
you'll
it
get
comes now this Sunday, and it's a couple of days, and then the equinox. Yep.
So we're very close, and usually we're recording these like 2 weeks before, and so but this one seems to want to. It's almost like it's saying, this needs to come out now,
Yes. Yes.
which is interesting. So, but the idea of all of this coming through us, and bringing this level of awareness and balance, it just seems to be an opportunity for our reality to flip from all of what we've just seen, all this violence and all this, really extreme behavior from people.
Yeah.
It's flipping. People are noticing more. The cracks are appearing in the media. The lies are coming up more, you know. And I think I just get the sense that there's a questioning. There's an opportunity for this loving energy to really come in and and you know just change people's perspective. You only need a tiny little bit of light, don't you,
Yeah.
in a dark room to
Yep.
notice that, oh, there's light out there.
Yep.
If that's how it feels. And so I was getting the sense that we're it's almost like a light switch. We're just ready with the light coming in now. And it's got the characteristics I'm getting again is this very, very pure source light. It's a divine pulse or celestial pulse, whatever we're going to describe it. It is it is here that it's coming. It's not. So I keep pointing up, but actually, it's not up there, is it?
You
And
feel
what,
it. Mm.
so we feel and the connection. So again, you talk it, it comes through more. So I was just thinking about our connection and how when we talk together and when we come together, suddenly the energy amplifies, and it's almost like that's where we're as humans learning how co-creation works.
Yeah.
Is actually because once we let this through, we realize we're not separate. That we are actually one.
Yeah.
And when you feel that with another, like we do with each other, that is the most powerful acknowledgement of our divinity that we could possibly have.
Yes.
And that's how I feel that very, a great deal at the moment. So maybe that's just what we do. We bring that in, and then if it, whoever's watching this, if you tune into this moment now, you might feel some of that presence that comes in, and you'll realize that it's you
Yeah.
as well, because we've just given away our identity. We've just said no, we're just vehicles. We're
Yeah.
not we're not setting ourselves up as prophets or anything.
Yeah. And before we started the podcast, we I said that I have felt the Christ consciousness, and you describe how it has been for you when you go into the Christ consciousness. And when I have a lot of story of meeting Christ consciousness, but it's not so much like talking. For me, it's experimental, so I feel it on my body. And when we talk about this kind of trauma, I remember one time I had a conversation with Jesus, the Christ consciousness, about pain. And then Jesus showed me the pain he lived with. And immediately, having this kind of, it was like a telepathic conversation. I felt the pain in my body and I started to cry because it was so painful. And I said, you couldn't live with this pain. I cannot breathe because it was so cruciating. And it's like, ha, okay. And it made me, okay. So you carry the divine stream kind of, and at the same time, if when I felt my body having this conversation, it was like I feel like I want to die because it was so painful. And it's like, how can we live with that pain and also carry the divine light? Because I know that he carried it and he was kind of the symbol and he had the state, but at the same time, the body, when what he really felt, what he transformed to me, it was like, wow, that pain was, it was tough. It was tough. So it was
Yeah.
like, wow, what pain we have carried. And even he carried a lot of pain, and showing that, okay, it is another way. It is another way.
Yeah. I think, and the sense that we're getting, I think now is that because of all that's gone in the past and all of these transformational moments, that where we are now, the way that the pain and everything is showing itself is almost like for the last time.
Yes.
No, so it's coming up so that it
Yep.
can leave.
Yeah.
and it's time for it to go as well. And so um, I was I was talking to somebody recently about how that seems to work for us, in that we come in all light. Look at me, I'm all light. I'm going to do some good here, and then something happens in front of us as a result of us being this light that is totally the opposite to what we were expecting,
Yep.
because it's bubbled up in that person we were talking to or the situation. It just bubbles up, and anything. Oh, wow, that was interesting. I wasn't expecting that. But it's because the light is coming in through us,
Yep.
and it doesn't, it agitates those things that need to be seen or to be experienced, or the emotions to be released, or whatever those things are. And even in our loved ones, you sort of think, whoa, I wasn't expecting that, big outburst, and ah, but later on you realize that's what happened. We're the sort of mechanism, if you like, for that to occur. So we just need to, particularly in the circumstances that are going on in the world now, we seriously need to be in our flow. We need to be in our divine, and let the divine embody us fully.
Yep.
Because we're like pinpoints of light on the planet at the moment, but we're growing in number. We're
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
definitely growing in number, and there's more and more people talking about that as well
Yep.
across the planet. So I think we are being successful in what we're doing. If that's a word.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. But I think it's healthy to talk about this expansion in consciousness and travel and bringing all Christ consciousness, and that the other side is that okay to embody it, because
Yeah.
it is so simple to just be here. It's like a mental concept. It is not a mental concept. It is kind of embodying. We have to have our body with us. So we me being in the detox for so many months, it's like I did the detox so that more light can be in my cells and in my body. And 3 days ago, I was in a center that have a lot of instrument that measure my heart, my liver, my intestine, all. It's like, because I wanted it black on white, the detox and the effect. And she said, wow, you are so balanced. Everything is perfect. And I knew that, but I wanted it on paper. So, and I know that myself now hold more light. So because I can say it, but I can also prove it now from this machine. So it's like, yeah, it is a detox going on, and then all this old, like you said, trauma and all the pain. It has come to release once time for all. It's not that we won't have pain in the future, but this deep, because the deep dark we have done for thousands of years, it isn't pretty. It is so ugly and it's so painful. So yeah, and as we are in this, we have a lot of colleagues that are in the same field as us, so we know a lot of, so we see that we increase in numbers day by day, kind of. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's you just pinpointed it, really, is that it's almost like everything out there is our creation, and it's reflecting back to us still that maybe there's still some work to be done.
Yep.
And the more clearing out. So it's almost like if you find yourself pointing at something and saying it's because of that I feel this, then you're still not quite there, because it isn't. It's all in everything. Your every reaction you have to what's out there is yours. It's here.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of stories people tell themselves about, well, the reason I'm like this is because so and so, and you think, okay, but maybe you just need a little bit more work on your perspective, because I certainly, my journey's been the same. Is that I've been feeling more and more that let go of the blame, let go of the reason, cause and effect, whatever, you can let go of all those things because in the miraculous flow of this of what we're becoming, none of that's true. It's simply not, So it's as soon as you can let go of the narratives and the inner dialogues and all those things, as soon as you can let them go and just be in this space, you find that it gives room then for this wonderful expression to be more fully in your body.
Yeah.
And all the little nooks and crannies that used to hold all the angst seem to be going. And for me, I do feel that. I absolutely do. And we've spoken in the past about a relationship with water and how water carries a lot of this as well.
Yes.
And that's my, I can't talk about that enough, if you like, because that is such a part of this
Yeah. Yeah.
in our embodiment. It's not just about talking about a flow of divine, it's actually our relationship with our surroundings is changed.
Yes.
And now we realize that we're part of everything and everything is part of us. And there's a new connection been made, particularly it for me anyway. I feel that's happened in the last not days, but not long. It seems to have just gone, oh, that's an interesting observation. And I feel it now differently. So I think this is part of it is that the world is changing because we're changing, and we're changing because the world's changing. The whole thing is moving together in a magnificent and miraculous way. Well, yeah, that felt quite good actually saying that.
Yeah, because you said it's like the relationship we had to Mother Earth, we see that the relationship is shifting. And actually, yesterday I had a conversation with a colleague here in Jägervanne, because I'm amazed that nature here, because when we are in nature, we can listen to nature. Nature is talking to us all the time. But I have been in nature several places, but I have never been in a place like this that the nature is so loud. It is so, and the energy is so strong. So it's like, do you know why the energy is so strong? I used to compare it to Sedona, but it's talking to you all the time. Even though when you sleep, you hear nature talking to you, and the lake, it's a lake next by here, and it's talk all the time. So I'm a little bit into it, like understanding what the phenomenon, because it's a big area. It's not just a small, because it's the Lingen Alps, but it is. So I have said, wow, this is heaven on earth, and it is. But I try to understand it in a deeper level, because this is kind of, it feels like an energy point. It is energy ley lines and all of that, but I have gone a little bit deeper into it because nature wants me, and the trees are talking to me, the animals. And actually yesterday I met a moose. It's like, okay, but it runs. It's like, thank you. But as you say, the relationship, something is happened. We are deepening the relationship on Mother Earth. That is kind of the polarity. So Christ consciousness, being, witnessness, gnosis, that the truth is through experience and a relationship with everything on Mother Earth. And a lot of people are in relationship to social media, wars and conflicts, but we can change that and go in nature and kind of breathe.
Mm. There was somebody put a post up recently, and it was suggesting that instead of us looking at nature and going, "Oh, isn't that wonderful? Isn't it amazing?" We actually stand there and let nature see us
Yes.
and allow, it's all like be seen.
Yeah.
And I remember how that because I've kind of been experimenting with being, sometimes I think I'm Sananda kind of thing, and I think, all right, okay, let me do that. I'll get into that. I'll let that energy be me, and then I'll walk through the woods and say hello to the woods, so I'm walking through the woods, and I go, hey, oh hey, I'm just going to walk through now. Is that all right? And they say, yeah, come on in, Sananda. We were waiting for you. And it still cracks me up now. And it's sort of like, ooh, they know me. And it's sort of like, well, of course we know you. What do you expect? And it's a bit like that moment when you it's not just you being this thing, it's like you're being seen, but not just by other humans. You're being seen by nature. Nature sees you
Yeah.
and it's welcoming you because it's saying, wow, you're here, welcome.
Yeah, and I was seeing with the eyes of the moose yesterday. It really saw me, and it's like, okay, we stared at each other, so it was like witnessing me, and the strength and the symbolism of a moose is kind of okay. So it was like it welcomed me in as because he's the king of the wood. It's like, thank you. And then it went away because they don't want to be near people, so it's rare that we see it. But yesterday it was like, okay, it was like a recognition from the moose. So we can do it from the Christ consciousness, from the moose, from all animals, Mother Earth, trees. So it's like, yes.
Yeah, yeah. It and I guess the reason we give things labels is so that we can talk about them.
Yeah.
But the idea that being in this flow then changes your perspective and changes the way that you relate to your surroundings
Yeah.
in such a fundamental way. It's almost like, how could I have been walking around not knowing this?
Yeah.
How could
Yeah.
I have missed this? It's so big, and the emotion of it as well. It's sort of like, oh yeah, something lands big in you
Yeah.
at that, like you just described. You're looking and you think, yeah, I've been seen.
Yeah. By a moose.
Somebody see, but it's not even because I mean we see one another in these conversations kind of thing, but it's like other things can see us,
Yeah.
nature. And so that was something I found very fascinating, and it did flip my awareness again
Yeah.
into another state of oneness, if you like. The way that we talk about being one, and we're living it now, and we literally are finding new ways of it manifesting through us or with us. This being one is wow.
Yes, and we are being seen all the time. We don't need physical because you say you are seen, but you didn't describe a physical person, but we are seen by the universe. And it reminded me about a study they did with kids and other. If you believe you are seen, you behave differently. So you cheat and you try to get your ego well if you think you are alone and you take advantage of. But if you know that you are seen, whatever you do, I think when we live with this truth, because I know that we do something with we do things that benefit our self, and maybe a little lie or take something. But if we know that, okay, everything we do is witnessed, everything is witnessed, and it reflects back to ourself. So I'm remind me every day of, okay, if I do something like, okay, if I think that I'm not seen, I know that I'm seen. I'm seen in everything I do, in every thought, in everything. So, and I know that someone go, oh, I am seen in the shower, but it is irrelevant. But we are seen big time, and a lot of people when they go over, past over, it's like they see their life in review kind of, and then they see all what they have done. It's like, oh no, did I do that? Oh, did you see that? Oh, it's like, yes, we are seen all the time, but the most important is that we see ourselves and know what are we doing kind of with consciousness above the personality kind of, not only like I want to hide, because I had a personality I wanted to hide when I was little, or not little, when I was younger. It's like, yeah, I inherit a pattern from my ancestors, like we want to hide, not because we were untruthful, but it's easier to hide because it is so much responsibility, so much, yeah, it can be overwhelming, it can be overwhelming.
I certainly got that. I was having a conversation with somebody recently, and we both felt that we'd been hiding. We were touching something like we do here, so fundamentally us,
Yeah.
but it wasn't quite ready to be seen, even. between us, never mind about out in the world. And it was a very sort of gentle process then to just peel away the layers of self that we were hiding from the
Yep.
world,
Yep.
from everything,
Yes.
because actually to be this much of us in
Yes.
embodiment is you don't feel safe, because of the stuff going on around you. You don't feel at some level you've been keeping it back.
Yeah.
Well, I can't be this big here.
Yeah.
It's not safe, you know. But now we are safe.
Yes.
It is safe to be this.
I
And
agree.
so, peeling those layers away and then allowing that self to be seen. It's being seen. Yeah, that keeps coming back, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's the thing, is that it's okay. You can be this. It's good,
Yeah.
you know, rather than, oh no, oh dear, no, it's because I can go right back to when I was I don't know, 8 or something like that, and I can remember, if I think now, literally switching myself off because the stuff going on in my family and around me was so intense, and I couldn't be that.
Yeah.
I just couldn't be that open. I couldn't be that present. And as a child, I think the only thing you do then is,
Yeah. Yeah. You shut your heart. It's like you close your heart.
yeah, yeah. And it's taken, I won't say how old I am, but a while
Yeah.
to
Yeah. Yeah.
get to this point. It's like it's been a journey. But I think, again, going back to this, this time now where, all the energies are right, and we're, planets are lining up, and all sorts of things are happening outside us to give us the opportunity now to really embody and bring this in. And it's safe now.
It's safe now. We have been killed for so many lives, being this bigness, being burned at this, yeah, crazy. But now we are safe to really. And I see working with a lot of people, this is a big issue because they have hold back, hold back, hold back, hold back, and I don't want people to see me because then. But now what we are going against is to be seen, to be witnessed, both from our family, from the universe, from all. So it is kind of a time of blossoming. We allow ourselves to blossom.
Yeah, yeah. And in doing so, we become the seeds for the new reality.
Yes.
We are ourselves this portal of energy, this amazing divine flow that we've been talking about. And the more of us that is present in this body, in this reality, the more of that is coming through. So that again, that's a very significant step to
Yeah.
be making, because again, you 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 were talking about, being seen, but being heard as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
your thoughts are being heard all the time
Yes.
because they're creating the reality. So you've got to be conscious now. What am I thinking? What I don't really want that to happen, do I? Let's think it in a more constructive way than, let there's so much we've talked about telepathy,
Yeah.
and there's so much of concern, or what if people can hear me when I'm thinking, telepathy. Oh, that's a bit, because we're so used to being in this enclosed idea that we're not heard when we're thinking,
But
but
we are, and what we are talking about, I call it homoluminous because we become more light, and becoming homoluminous, then we sense more. We sense in a balanced way, not with emotion that are kind of built up because of triggers, but we sense each other. We communicate through senses and emotions. So because we are in balance, so this is what we're going towards. So we have a brilliant future, but we also have not the nearest years that will be so turbulent, and as we say, it has to come up to really release for one times for all what we have created.
yeah. And it's yeah, that's the key. It's thinking like I am in the new reality, and then it looks and feels like this, and it is so good. It really is amazing. And then looking and seeing something else going on and wondering, well, actually that's interesting because that's not what I'm seeing is our future. And it's asking us just to hold on to that vision of our, the future with all this loving energy and all, the wonderful things. Just keep that one in place
Yep.
because actually that is where it's going.
Yep.
And it's almost like I sometimes wonder, because people talk about the time, there's no time in the place where we are. Well,
Yep.
in a way that I find that both true and not at the same time, because I feel myself as my future self sometimes,
Yes.
and I'm in that place. We've done it. And all that's happening is my future self is coming into me now, and we're holding that, I would say timeline, but we're holding that in place now. We know we've done it because we can travel in time. We do it all the time. That's what we these miraculous multidimensional beings of way beyond our understanding kind of thing. So this idea again of me being in the future and projecting back and holding this part of me in almost like a stable energy, of knowingness, or
Yeah.
sometimes the words can't quite describe what I'm trying to say, but it's been done.
Yeah.
We are only being asked to be here now as anchors of what's already, flowing
Yeah.
out.
And I love that you mentioned time because
Yeah.
when I went to bed yesterday, I went into a meditation and I got a tool to because I travel in consciousness, future and past, and then I was given a tool to do it more kind of fine tuned. So because when I travel, I have been like travel, I don't know where I go kind of. But now I was given a tool, okay, now I go to this specific, to this specific. So I was giving this tool yesterday, so I will explore with it and it kind of and in the meditation it was just integrating it. It's like, okay, this I will use because it is not a new tool, but I have never done it before. But it is the Christ consciousness again going inward because it is everything happens from within, and we can create whatever we want, travel in time, and because I see time just as a field, we can communicate with the field of time, and then we don't live linear life, but we live multi lives kind of and get that wisdom and that wisdom. And that's why it is important for me to also say that okay, I have been through so much trauma, not to say I don't want to have anything to do with the trauma, because it is the contrast for or the light kind of. So it's kind of how can we balance it out. I think that this was the message that one of the messages that Christ showed, and he never wrote a book because it's not mental, so he tried to show it in parables, because when you talk in the language of the soul, it is completely different from the wordings that we are saying. So
Yeah, yeah,
how to yeah.
it comes through differently, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and ideas seem to come from a different place as well. Somebody will pop into my head, and then it'll have gone again. But then I'll think, well, so what do you want to say? And then it'll the energy will speak. And that's the intelligence of, or the of that place
Yeah.
of we're drawing from a state of being that we are not familiar with in this body, but that part of us, that future me, knows exactly how that works.
Yeah.
He,
Yeah.
he's people describe masters in that way,
Yeah.
and future me is well, he's not just a master. He's a mega. He's just whoa. He's
Source.
amazing.
Source
So
intelligence. Yes.
um, and I asked that, and I know I keep going back to this. I asked what's your name, because I'm I presume that he's living in this 5D or 7D or wherever he is. So who do we call you then? And he said Sananda, obviously, and I'm sort of going. So we are one then. And it's good. I've got it again. And so I keep trying to push that name away
Yeah.
because how can I be that? I can't be that, can I? And yet it keeps coming back. It keeps flipping back to say, but you are, aren't you?
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, well, that is interesting. So the human still is still sort of, I'm in an ahhing thinking, because like people like you know, you've experienced Jesus, and I've spoken to other people who have experienced Jesus, and I'm thinking, whoa, you know, that presence is in me. Wow, isn't that incredible? I'm tearing up now. Wow, that's good. So
I was
you knew that was coming in, didn't you? That's what you said. We need to talk about. Wow.
Yeah, and it comes in so many ways, because I remember one time that Christ came to me as my ancestor, and I was, what, as my ancestor? Yes, of course, it's the legacy of Christ. All of us have the legacy of Christ. So it's not only my family, it's all family. But I was so amazed in this, like, you come as my ancestor. And he transformed quiet. He showed me, he took his head forward and I my head forward, and he transformed tranquility and peace. It's like, and since then I have lived with tranquility, and it was very noisy in here before that.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Very noisy. So it is so many dimensions. We feel it on our own body, and we can communicate with it. So it's so many dimensions. So when I go into ceremony, sometimes I see it and I talk to kind of the entity. If it's Heather, is it Thoth, or is it Christ, or is it whatever angel, and sometimes it's take over my body, and I am it. So we can do so many ways. So it's no limitation.
Yeah, I think that's the key. I think I remember reading a channeling that somebody was bringing in through. It might have been Michael, Archangel Michael, or Raphael, one of the one of the many named channels, and they were emphasizing that we are you, you are us.
Yes.
The idea of describing things that us as separate is purely so we can have a something to put a label on, and then talk about it.
Yes.
So if we want to talk about an entity who's at a higher level, and we haven't got a physical representation of the entity, but we've got some characteristics that we can almost hang on to, the feeling, the light, the song, whatever it might be. And and that's how it is with me and the name Sananda. As soon as I use the name, this sort of big energy comes in and portrays. And when you were talking about, you know, family, I feel like I'm of that family. What
Yes.
does that mean even?
Yes.
But it feels like, whoa, I'm this. I'm a brother, or I'm a, whatever it is, I'm part of this family. It's my heritage. Again, you can't describe how that can possibly be when these are just flows of beautiful light, and the and when you allow them in, they isn't that and the love, of course, we didn't mention that yet, but that is the big thing.
Yep.
As the energy that comes with all this is that of love, and it's like, oh yeah, there we go, and it just flows, and it's so magical. And yeah, I think just being it is the key.
Yeah.
We seem to come to that point in most of our conversations. It's about being present with that, and it's yeah, that's so yeah. I've got It's funny because sometimes I get a crowd of, I don't know, enlightened beings, masters, whatever you'd like to describe them as. But I've got a sense of a big crowd behind me, and they're all going, "Yeah, that's it, good. Yeah, you got it, you got it," which is quite funny, really, because they're a bit playful, they enjoy the moment when we get it.
Yeah. And when you are talking, what I am reminded, I talked to a man a couple of days ago, and he said that I think it is much easier for women to travel in consciousness and to download and everything. And then I said, well, I have a Divine Design podcast and I know a man, Colin, and I also know Santari and several men that also travel in consciousness and have downloads and live from this field. But I agree with this man that it is easier for women, I believe, because we are natural kind of mothers, birthing. So this makes it easier for us. But being a man, it's no limitation being a man. You can do the same if you are a man or a woman. But he was kind of, okay, it's harder for us because we are men. Well, if we say it is harder, then it becomes harder. So we kind of, we we experience what we believe. So but at the same time, yeah, because if you go back in history, we see that it was a lot of witch hunting, and it was kind of easier for the women because we are spiritual holders, kind of, because we birthed the child, and so it is more natural for us. But that doesn't mean that it is not possible for men, because like you and Santari and a lot of men are holding it.
Mm. More than has been in the past, for sure. Because you see a lot of people now turning up and speaking amazing and
Yeah,
talking absolutely brilliant stuff, and a lot of them are men now. But
yeah,
in but if you look at you only have to look at some of the where we met in Solera's group. How many men are there? You know, not very many, and and yeah, kind of unusual. I used to go to a lot of spiritual meetings and stuff, and there would probably be 10 or 15 women and maybe two men.
yeah,
That's the kind of ratio that I'm used to. And I think it's true. I think men are, I don't know, in society, they're more reserved. They're less inclined to believe stuff that they can't touch and feel as well. It's very much a practical in life that they've led. And no, so I do, I get a sense of that for sure. Yeah, I've been the one sitting, in canteens at work, talking about this stuff, and people going, yeah, yeah, that's all right, Colin. Yeah, never mind.
but being a woman, you deliver a child, and through this birthing a child, it has happened something too. It's like you cannot control it. You have to surrender to the divine flow and through the divine creation. So feeling it, it's going back to gnosis. It's kind of the experience. You experience that this is reality. We can try as much as we want, but the child is growing us in us, and all the process that it does naturally. So this is an experiment with a body that holds kind of, okay, it's easier, it can be easier for women, because we know that, okay, this process, we can try a lot of things from the mind, but it does its own thing. It's the divine flow, birthing and doing its thing natural. So yeah, and saying that, it's like also because I have been most man on Mother Earth. I have a lot of um, masculine life, being a man and a soldier, and experience a lot. So being a woman, I'm more fresh in it, and I love it. So it is not that if I judge men, I judge myself, because I intertwine with all my lives, all the men life and all life. So it's like we cannot say, oh, it's better to be that and worse to be that. No, it's equal, and we need both.
Mm, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Wow, I love the flow. It's like, yes, this was what wanting to have
Yeah, yeah.
final
It's
thoughts.
because we weren't quite sure, were we, which way it was going to go, well, as we never are. But I think that's wonderful. Um, and I think that's the key, is allowing life to be led from this place, and it'll flow. It just does magically flow from here.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes. So this is this is kind of living as homo luminous. We just are, and the divine flow come through us, and it's easy through our heart. Good emotion, we tear up because it's so beautiful, and yeah, it is our next step divinity.
Definitely. Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Thank
been lovely.
thank you, Colin.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Thank you for listening to the Divine Design podcast with Ann-Peggy Divine. Join us next Sunday for another Heaven on Earth unfolding conversation. With grace, reverence and unity, may the path of your divine design light the way. From the divine in us to the divine in you.